What's up, everybody? Just want to tell you how to come support the show. Once again, Rokfin.com/Truthzilla, Patreon.com/Truthzilla. Come get yourself a Truthzilla t-shirt over at Truthzilla.org/shirts. Please join the Telegram channel, Telegram t.me/Truthzilla pod. You get like straight, unfiltered content right from us, and join the Discord. We'll put links to the Discord in the show notes. And
the Discord is a nice little cozy channel.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
I like it.
It's pretty awesome.
It's
pretty
cozy
awesome.
in there. Join us.
We got all kinds of fun stuff coming, you guys. Anyway, but you're gonna love this interview.
Good stuff coming.
Yeah, great stuff coming. But enjoy the show.
Welcome to Truthzilla. I am Megan, sitting here with my good friends Scott and Ed. This week we are sitting down with Lindsey from Rogue Ways. She is a prolific author, journalist, poet, researcher, and the host of the Rogue Ways podcast. Make sure you join her at rogue.locals.com. Hi, Lindsey.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. That was a very nice introduction.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. I mean, I don't know how you have time to do anything else. Like, it's so cool.
I don't either.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So, I know that you came from an entirely different world, as an educator. Can you kind of tell us, like, how you, like, okay, and I have a couple questions as far as that goes, because as we are growing and learning in the podcast world, right, we're trying to strategize and innovate and learn different things, and looking at your body of work and like what you have in place, it's just like, it's very enviable. It's like, wow, that's amazing. How did you decide to take the plunge from having, being an educator to just going rogue, basically?
Well, I've always been a bit of a rogue warrior, and I earned that moniker by running around the world at random times and doing random things and just doing basically whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and never asking anyone else what they thought of it or anyone's opinion or permission to do that. So I always had that like flair and penchant in me. But after teaching for 14 years, many of those years were spent wishing that I wasn't teaching, and not because I love teaching deeply. Like, I really consider it like a sacred duty. And that's why I sought it out, because I love the idea of helping students avoid some of the indoctrination and like barbarism of our school system. And I love I love English, and I love social studies. And so I love my subjects that I teach as well. And so it was a perfect seeming job, but it really is true that even if you know that the system is evil and go in with that understanding, it still sucks your soul dry and just like beats you down over and over again. So eventually, I had to listen to my heart and leave it because it was killing me. So that's the short version. Yeah. There's a lot more in there, but that's basically what happened.
Totally. Wow. I mean, that takes a lot of courage. Like, I know that's one of the things that my goal is to
certainly
take that plunge myself eventually. I don't think we're at a place where we're quite ready to do it yet, but I don't know. Was there like a catalyzing moment? I guess that's the moment. The question is like the moment. What was the inspiration? Either the final straw, was it were you did you have like a final straw moment, or was it more like an inspiration moment, or maybe a synchronistic of all those things conglomerate?
Yeah, it was all three really, because like I said, it had been wearing on me, and I'd been kind of realizing, and people were literally telling me like, you need to probably not teach anymore. And I was kind of like, screw you, don't tell me what to do. But in my heart, I was like, shoot, are they right? Like, it does wear me down. But I finally, after years and years, see, it's funny because my whole goal was to become an alternative school educator, but everywhere I went and all the jobs I was finding were not that. And I just thought, when I finally get there, I'll be really, really happy, because that's where all the free spirits are, and the rogue warriors, they all end up there, and they want to work with those kids just like I do. Like, my favorite kids are like the messed up kids, and that's what I was. And so I love them. I understand that they're my people. And so I finally got to the alternative school, which a lot of teachers feel like is a punishment, or is like the school you want to avoid because it's so difficult or whatever. But that was where I wanted to go. And so when I got there, I thought, I'm here, I've arrived. Like, I finally get to have the experience teaching that I've always wanted. And it was exactly the opposite. All the teachers there were especially caught up in the system, I guess, and really emotionally unwell and very mentally unwell. And I become a target really easily in any teaching situation, because I don't just go along and just do what, you're supposed to do and follow the traditional ways. And so people really hate me, and they also hate me because I'm very successful despite all of that, especially with the hardest students. And they feel like I must be cheating or like just giving those students grades or just like, you know, so they just don't like me. They think I make them look bad. And they also are mad that I won't just be easy and just do what I'm supposed to do. So at that school, it was like especially heightened, which was so weird for me. I was like, you're the ones who are supposed to get it, you know, like we're in the alternative school. We're supposed to do things alternatively. And they really, but it was like a sick emotional situation, like I said, and everything. It was just really bad. So that was kind of the final straw where I was like, well, this is where I thought I was going to be finally happy. And I'm actually the least happy that I've ever been. And it was also the final type of setting. Like I had taught internationally and locally, I had taught rurally and in big cities. I taught, you know, like fully Native American populations, and I've taught fully like white populations, and I've taught every private, public, everything. And then I finally got to alternative, like I said, and it was just like the final type of school and the final setting and the final straw. And so I really realized like there is no good setting for me. It's never going to be something that doesn't sap my soul. And so I have to leave for myself. But there's also synchro mystical things going on that brought me, you know, to really believe that it was the right thing to do, to follow my heart, to do that. And, you know, everything sort of came together to really affirm that that's what I should do. So it was still hard, you know, you're like going to throw away your whole career and your whole life and just go off into the unknown. And it's terrifying. But like I said, I have that sort of gypsy soul anyway. So I was like, it'll be an adventure. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So was it just jumping off the edge, or did you started writing books and doing all the things you do today before you jumped off that edge?
Yes, I definitely did all those things before, and not because I ever thought that they would be a replacement sort of career or bring me any money, but just because they're things that I enjoy doing. Yeah. So I just do write, and I just ended up with books and other writings. And I had a site for years that I would publish mostly things about the robocalypse and the coming AI Armageddon. And that slowly morphed into the site that it is now, which is rogueways.org, where it's like everything I do is all there. All the shows I do 2 different shows, all the stuff I publish, articles and poetry I write, and all of the art that I make, and just all these things. But I'm just kind of like a constantly moving person, and I create a lot, and I'm inspired to do a lot of different random things. And so it's like the hub. And so all those things were already in place before I left teaching, but I didn't have it like as an idea that would be what brought me income, you know?
Absolutely.
It just existed.
Absolutely. It's pretty awesome. So, oh man, like, so what, as far as like conspiracies go, what was that like? How was that? Has that always been there? Have you always kind of just had a questioning mind to it, or was there a particular red pill moment for you, or how did that whole thing start?
It's always been there. There's been chunks that come in, just like everybody, you know. I think even if you had like your awakening, you get like further awakenings as you go. So it's not like I kind of like always knew everything, but I was very lucky that I had a father who was forced into Vietnam and then forced to stay for a second tour, even after his first tour was done, which was illegal, but they did it anyway because he was a really good sniper. And he was over in Cambodia where nobody was supposed to be. And so he had like too much information, and he understood too clearly just how awful the system is. Yeah. And so even when I was a very young child, it was like, you don't trust the government. You question everything. You think for yourself. You don't believe what your teachers tell you. And I was like trained to just not trust anybody, really. I mean, it's not like I was trained to not trust anybody, but you know what I mean? I was trained to literally question everything. And my mother was also very, she was less sort of like sure that everything wasn't trustworthy, but she was also very much, you know, if I said like, why, like kids do, she would try to answer it. And anytime she got to a place where she couldn't, she'd be like, I don't know, let's go find out. What do you think? And so I learned that I get to find out for myself and decide for myself, no matter what the topic is too. And that adults don't know everything. So like, I think the combination of those two influences really made it so that I'm always have been just a really independent, free thinker. I remember not standing up for the flag salute in 2nd grade. And I remember in 3rd grade, when I came home singing a very patriotic song that I had learned in school, my father was like, what are they doing to you in these schools? And he like called my teacher and was like, what is this song? And,
wow.
But it was cool. I was just remembering this the other day. I was like, that was pretty intense. Like he called my teacher to get mad at her for this song. But then I remembered that I kept singing in class anyway, and especially that song. And then I remembered that they actually sat me down and said, like, okay, if you want to sing this song, you can sing it. What do you want to do? And I was like, well, I can sing this song and still know that I don't like trust the government. My dad was like, all right, word, you can sing the song.
Oh man, hilarious.
Which was also very freeing because I got to learn that I can like, you know, make choices independently of my parents as well.
Interesting.
It sounds like you had some pretty good parents.
There you go.
Yeah,
But
very much.
I think so.
I
people
kind of
don't
have
think
this
so.
this theory because I love my parents to death, but they're, you know, they've both gotten the vaccine. They're kind of I feel like my father's like the definition of black pilled, and I think like it's almost this age group that like saw Vietnam and stuff and they also saw the 9/11s, and now they're seeing this false flag, right? Like so we're in this. I feel like they've just seen too much. They're like not like fuck it, you can't do anything, right? Like. That's kind of, I feel like where my dad's coming from. I don't think he like really buys any of this shit, but he's like, it's what you got to do. I'm going to want to travel. Right. So, but I think, you know, people, if you look at like the demographics, a lot of people that are into the things we're into, you know, it's like, you know, late 30s into 40s and even, you know, lower 50s. I think it's like the main target demographic of people that are like actually standing up to what's going on right now, you know, and it's like, we're the ones who like, we're like, you know, 20 or so around the 9/11, you know, I think that has a big impact on like where we are today and like why we're, you know, that's my theory.
Yeah.
You know, at least, I feel like the generation above me, most of them are black pilled or they watch CNN all day. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were like black pilled and then possibly also had that like snapback that happens when you realize like, oh no, it really is like total global domination they're after and there's no escape. So I'm just going to watch CNN all day and like play it safe, you know, and like become part of the herd so that I can end up in the right FEMA camp or whatever.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Something like that.
It's so diabolical.
That was really well said,
It's
though.
true, though.
I don't even think they extrapolated out that far. I mean, who are we talking about here? Are we talking about the CNN people or the CNN people? That's a whole different.
Oh, yeah.
I can't.
That's just the NPCs.
Yes, exactly.
Totally,
the NPCs,
totally.
dude. I just can't. Here's something.
Did you guys?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you guys see that CDC? I think it was the CDC or the WHO put out like a get your vaccine thing, and it had an NPC person as the person.
God. Really? Oh
I was
no.
like, yeah, I was like,
Oh,
they
that's
can't
great.
not know.
Oh,
Or
God.
there's someone just disgruntled enough that was like, screw
Totally.
these guys. Like, let's tell the people the truth.
Totally. Well,
For sure.
let's see. What I was gonna pull up here was you broke some info for us in the Union of the Unwanted chat, like the what was that? The Johns
yeah.
Hopkins thing, like that. That was
Oh,
huge.
yeah.
You like, let's break that on the show right here. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A friend shared that with me in Messenger, and I was like, I have to show this to everybody. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because there's people who don't get that this has been planned for a long
sure.
time,
Right.
and there's been like steps and steps and steps, and now we're here, and it's not an accident.
Right.
Not an accident. So I'll superimpose it over the video here because our screen share live stream capabilities are just not what they need to be right now. But it's from this document, Johns Hopkins University. I believe it was 2018. The article title, we'll put the PDF links in the show notes too, but it says technologies to address global catastrophic biological risks. And it literally says, quote, self-spreading vaccines. That's the title. So we have now self-spreading vaccines, people, right? Self-spreading vaccines are genetically engineered to move through populations like communicable diseases, but rather than causing disease, they confer protection. The vision is that a small number of individuals in a target population could be vaccinated, and the vaccine strain would then circulate in the population much like a pathogenic virus, resulting in rapid, widespread immunity.
And whatever else is in
and
the
whatever
vaccine
else.
is the key part of that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys have probably heard a lot of people are talking about it. I did a show, I think last week about how women are all experiencing, and I'm sure men are too. I just think women, it's more obvious. We have a cycle. We can monitor these things.
Yeah.
Men don't know what's happening inside their reproductive organs necessarily. And so all these women are having like miscarriages and these like decidual casts that are coming off, which is disgusting. If you've never seen one, you should go look. It's horrible. It's like having an abortion without having been pregnant.
Oh my God.
Or a miscarriage, I should say. Missing cycles, having cycles that never end, like horrible pain, cysts. I've had so many people who have asked for my support, because I do, some spiritual support and blessings and various things that I can help people with. And a lot of people have been asking me for help for ovarian cancer specifically. All of a sudden, they were fine, ovarian cancer. And just all kinds of things. And so if this is what's transferring, like that Johns Hopkins document says can be transferred, then it's really clear that this is like the depopulation stage of the agenda.
Yes.
And that's terrifying to think about. But it's what a lot of us were saying. Don't get this. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to affect the next 7 generations or 50 billion generations.
No.
Like, you have no idea when you go messing with DNA.
And just to be clear, what you're saying, though, is this, we're not talking about the women who actually got the vaccine. We're talking about women who've been around women who've gotten the vaccine, or men, whatever. Like, these are the reactions we're seeing of people like us that are exposed to people who got vaccinated. I'm sure we all know them now at this point. I mean, I know people close to me in my life. My kids had to stay home from their normal routine today because someone was sick and they got the vaccine, 4 days ago. Of course, they don't put that together, but
No.
Yeah. Crucial point. Yes. Thank you for clarifying. Exactly. And so it's something is transmissible. And what's weird is I haven't heard the same from the people who got it. And I remember wondering, before, as this was all sort of starting, is like, well, they're not going to cull their obedient people. So why would they put something in this vaccine that's going to harm the people taking it? Those are their favorite slaves, right? Mm-hmm. So why would they do that? But it makes sense that they might give them something that protects them and then sheds in a way that affects anyone who hasn't received it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Pure conjecture, just saying.
Totally.
Sure.
So what was that article then that I sent to our chat that was talking about people who were being tested? Who was that was being tested, and they showed like Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson all? Okay, so what was that?
So I mean, there's that, and then I'd have to pull up the exact article, but we've actually had a listener reach out to us too, who said that they had blood work done and from a doctor who's an ally or something, and said that they're found traces of Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the blood work, and obviously has not had a vaccine. So like, without disclosing too much about that situation, it's just like, holy crap, like this is this, and so. My follow-up question was, do you have like I would love to see like paperwork on that. Like let's expose this, dude. Let's expose this. This is, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to go for it, man. Like I don't have any kids. Yeah. I'm good. You guys come after me. I'll expose it, right?
Go after him.
I'll go after. Yeah, don't go after me. Like, not these guys. Like I'll take on big pharma. I don't care, man. It's crazy. My work in particular too. Like it's just like this nonstop, just cascade of just vaccine propaganda like all day long. It's just insane. I work? Oh, I work in like mental health type stuff. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, all the people that are surrounded with there's some good folks. There's some allies that work there. That's for sure. That's good. But it's just
not
a lot. Not at the level I'm at, and it's very lonely and it's very, very demoralizing every day. Right? It's just like every day I have folks coming up. Like today, I can't really get into it, but anyway, it's like, it's just we all know these conversations all day long. I don't know though. Okay, so here's where I'm at with it, right? So I don't know. I feel like people are starting to wake up. I feel like there's like this mass, like the conscious of the universe is moving in such a way that people are awakening, like people that I wouldn't have thought would be waking up. You know what I mean? I've got. So I moved out to this place. It's like a kind of like a homesteady type area way out in the country, which is super nice. I love it. Super happy. There was an individual who there's like a shared living space, and they were like making people who walked into that shared living space wear a mask, right? And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm way out in the country. We all have our little tiny homes. It's paradise. It's heaven. I love it. It's right on the river in the woods. You know what I mean? And except, but I can handle this. All right. There's chickens or bunnies. Ducks, the whole deal, dude. Garden, it's freaking
Scott
amazing.
loves bunnies.
Yeah, I love bunnies, so there you go. But it's okay. It's like, okay, so if I have to put up with a mask just to go into the kitchen, I guess I can handle that, I guess I can handle that, right? Whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so I'm in there cooking the other night, and she comes out, and we start talking, and we're just talking, and she goes like, I think there's something. Like, what do you think about all this mask stuff? And I was like, let me tell you a little something about it. She's like, I don't know about all this mask stuff. What do you think about it? And I'm like, oh boy. So literally, like, it was like a 2-hour conversation. And it was great, dude. We got into everything. I got her listening to James Corbett. I got her doing Last American Vagabond. I guess.
awesome.
Her head was
okay.
She was spinning.
Yep. I told her the whole story about.
Can't give her that much at once.
Well, no. It was
It's
great.
so amazing that she was receptive.
Yeah, we
what are the
broke it.
chances?
We broke it down. I told her the whole story about like IBM and the Holocaust and Thomas Watson and IBM and how they got their startup money for Bill Gates and how how IBM is running the program for the vaccine passport right now. You know what I mean? Like it's just like laid out the whole thing.
She said, "What about masks?" And you said, "Here's the abyss." And
Yeah. That was it. That was it. Here's the abyss. And so
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So anyway, the moral of the story is we don't have to wear masks in the kitchen anymore. So there you go.
Yay!
So,
That's
awesome.
a victory
Yes.
for the team. Good
Yes.
job,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
I love that story.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
glad
good
that we
one.
heard it just
That's
now.
a good one. So anyway, I mean, I feel like that's kind of where people are at. Anybody that's clinging on to this is they're still just trapped in that mainstream narrative. They're still trapped in the MSNBC bubble, the CNN, even Fox News bubble. It's like Trump. Say what you will about him. He's the biggest vaccine pusher on the face of the planet, dude.
Yeah.
He's all running around saying, "I took the vaccine." You know what I mean? Like, dude, I don't know. I'm not playing that game. Yeah. And so it's
but
just.
they crafted it so perfectly because
Yeah.
they are able to say like, "Oh, but that's a Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And
Yeah.
It's not mRNA, so it's safe." But
Yeah.
like you said, when you said that person who had all three in their blood, it makes me wonder because I've been, wondering like we don't know how many things are interacting at once in order to produce certain results, right? So if all three of these vaccines are that type that can spread, self-spreading vaccines, then when they all interact at once, what's happening then? You can never prove that, or I should say it'd be a lot harder to prove that than it would be to say this vaccine causes this vaccine causes this.
Yeah.
Look how often, here's the correlation,
Oh,
here's the
yeah.
data. But how often are you gonna be able to say when these three combine it causes this? We won't know, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely not. Definitely.
So,
not.
but they like did it that way so that they could have this, other vaccine and this like safe route, and like Trump said, and it's cute, it's safe, and I don't know, the Patriots or whatever, and it's just genius. They're darkly genius, and it's always impressive, unfortunately, just how genius they are.
But they're also pretty dumb. I've seen that too. There's a lot of evidence that they're pretty
True.
dumb. But you know what it is I think you can kind of maybe see the fingerprint of like the human element of it, because they always do the same thing. It's always like a false flag. It's always like they just run the same playbook over and over and over and over. But I think right now what we're seeing just some advanced sort of like AI, right? So as we've talked about AI a little bit on this show, but it's just like the idea of just like they absolutely have the technology to just aggregate every single human being's data on the face of the planet that has a phone, that has an internet connection. Like right now, all our data is being
And
put in
even
big
those that don't.
soup pot, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all being like, and so Google, right, has the technology and the means and the computing power to like take all that information all at the same time, like what people are Google searching, getting like a snapshot of like the consciousness of humanity at any given time, in combination with people's like biometric data and then like what the weather pattern is and just everything, and sculpt like just some snapshot of what the world is like, what reality is like at any given time from like a godlike perspective, right? And just basically look at the entire human species as a single organism and take all these variables and all these factors together and plot it into an input, and then it gives us an output. And so it can predict the future. It can predict what's coming. It will tell you, and it'll tell you if you want this end result, here's what you need to do. You need to have this cop shoot this person on this day, and then you need to have this thing happen on this day, and then it just back engineers all the things that we're seeing to lead up to whatever the end result is.
I've always said like that's how they move the goalposts. The goalpost has always been based on they know what they can push.
Yeah.
They know as far as they can. And I think it goes down to like farther. Like we're in Oregon. They know they can push us this hard, and in Texas they can only push them this hard, right?
Yeah.
So like they know exactly what they can do, and where the people aren't going to revolt, but they're going to we're all just being controlled realistically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or if they do revolt, they do it on certain days in certain places for certain reasons and hold certain signs.
Yep.
Like
Yes.
it's very, and I do think it's unfortunate that not many people understand exactly where we're at with AI and robotics and all of this, 5G Internet of Things, like the interconnection of everything. Because I was, one of the teachers I worked with before I left, actually, just like you were describing, Scott, that, when someone asks a question, like that's when you can be like, oh, well, let me tell you. And he happened to ask me something about AI or robots or something. So I was like, okay, well, here's all of this. Here's the robots called Sophia, and here's like, and here's all this stuff. And every single one of them, every single, like what we call AI, every single one of them has threatened to destroy humanity, put humans in a zoo, or treat them like pets. That's not an accident or a coincidence. And like, besides that, here's this Stanford experiment where every single human on Earth has a representation in their formulas. And like you were saying, they can like track this. They can predict, allegedly, what you're going to do up to the like day and time of day, even if you feel like you're a spontaneous random person. 100%. And they're almost always right. And that's how much the computer, the whatever you want to call that, the AI knows us. And I just think sometimes these things, like I said, are so darkly genius, you know, and so devious and so intelligently done that I don't see how it couldn't be AI that's creating it all and telling them, like you said, on this day do this, and on this day release this keyword and repeat it this many times, and like, you know. But I also think you're right. There is always the human element, and I don't want anyone to feel like it's like hopeless, because AI is still operating within a set of parameters, and we always have like spontaneity and, you know, just like life force, which it does not have. So I don't ever get like too bogged down in that, but I do think it's a lot bigger and faster and more controlling than people really realize usually.
Absolutely. And I think that's you're right. You're dead on, you know, just in like hacker terms, right? You know, not like I'm some big hacker, but you know, I was a 90s kid, you know, freaking whatever you call it. And, but like the whole idea of it being like, you know, the biggest vulnerability in any given system is the human element of it, right? And so the fact that there is still that human element gives us hope. So that's what we need to focus on, right? And so but you know, I think that there's a lot of truth to that too. Like the two biggest problems that we have with AI is like the containment problem, right? And then the alignment problem. And like what you're talking about, the alignment problem is just basically how can we ensure that these machines are going to have the same values and principles that humans have, right? And then the containment goes with that. Like, how are we going to contain it? Like, how do we keep it in a box? You know, so I don't know.
You're never going to contain it.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear about that test they did, this study where they were like pretending that they had AI that was in the box, but that, you know, it was intelligent, and it had guards, and the guards could interact with it. And like, it was something like 97% of the time the guards would let it out.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So we're fucked.
Like in what's that movie? Ex Machina. Ex Machina.
Totally.
Yeah. That was a good one, by the way.
That was a
good little allegory.
For sure.
Yep.
It shows you how diabolical it truly all is. So if we really take into that whole perspective, like you were saying, with, you know, them predicting, you know, and back engineering and all of that, because they don't back engineer where we save us. They don't back engineer where people have water. They don't back engineer where people have community and unity and family, and that they're not divided. They're doing the opposite. And so all the time we talk about, you know, it's so hard just on an individual basis, like on an interpersonal level, like with, you know, family members or lovers or friends or coworkers, to really see the evil in somebody when you're just looking at them, and really see how diabolical they can be within. Things can be so very, very misleading. And it's hard because we see people as we are. And we assume that even underneath darkness, surely at the very base of who they are, we relate to them. We project that onto them, who we are within, right? And so that's the whole thing when we don't understand what's happening to us. And when people that's the biggest argument that I've had is, you know, it can't possibly be that, but it takes so much cooperation. It would have to be so many dark people. It doesn't have, I mean, it's a couple of huge handfuls, really. It's not that many people, but if you really think about where that power lies, and you think about how on an interpersonal level, people who've encountered, you know, we've all encountered wicked, you know, individuals. And if it's hard to wrap the brain around, but really it just speaks such volumes, because all the time, you know, we talk about like people talking about Bill Gates being such the savior and the doctor and he's doing all the great things. And I'm like, yeah, but he's not giving clean water to Flint, Michigan, but he's not, you know, saving the children that he's vaccine injured over in other countries. He's not, you know, helping their families. He's not making life easier for them. He's not
the poor farmland,
you know, buying it all. But anyways, it's just interesting to me, but that's such an interesting way to think about it when we try to understand how it can be so big and so dark. I think most people listening to this can really picture that. That would be so easy. And really, division is hard. Look at how hard we fight it as humanity. Like there's such a pull against it, really. Like we want to be connected. We want to get along. We want to all have community. And that's the basis of what they've used for the corruption. But anyway, so
no, you're exactly right. And this psychopathic culture that we have is intentionally put upon us and cultured that way. You know, we're like led that way and indoctrinated that way. And we also can see that what exactly we were describing in like the microcosm of any of us, anywhere we've been. You know, if you've worked somewhere, if you're lucky, you have a really cool place that just so happens to have not had any psychopaths touch on it. But most of us have worked in places where the more psychopathic or narcissistic or personality disorder that you are, the higher you are.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, and that combined with Dunning-Kruger, which for anyone who doesn't know is just basically that stupid people don't know they're stupid. And so they're very, very sure and confident in their stupidity. And so people look at their confidence and think, well, they must know, so I'm going to follow them. And then smart people, intelligent people know that they're intelligent, but they also know that they don't know anything,
right?
Actually, right? You know, like this much of the thing, because you're smart enough to see how much you don't know yet. And so you doubt yourself, and because you doubt yourself, people look at you and say, oh, well, they're full of doubt, like they're stupid, let's not follow them. So stupid people are perceived to be smart, and smart people are perceived to be stupid, and those people both perceive themselves that way to some degree. And so that combined with this psychopathy culture is like this is like all we can do is like think, well, yeah, most people are good, it has to be that way, right? And it's just like this one person who's messed up, or like, well, that person's really messed up, but also they're in charge and they're really confident, so it must be that I must be like misinterpreting things or just not understanding. And like it can't be that this is like a societal, you know, ubiquitous problem,
right?
Or whatever. And like you said, we project the best intentions because that's what most of us have. Most of us have the best intentions. Right. But that small section of people, it's something like 15% perhaps, are of either narcissistic personality disorder or psychopathic mental disorders. They like rule the world and they rise to the top, and they're really hard to deal with because we don't want to see that evil. We don't want to admit that there's people who are in their core incapable of compassion and love and living this life in the way that we want, and they have all this power.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have a whole article written about that on your website. Like I shared that with these guys back after you published it, and I was like blown away by that. I want to encourage everybody to go. What's that article called again? It's
Conditioned by Psychopathy.
Yes, and it's kind of a lot of what you were just describing. You know, it's powerful stuff. So yes, encourage everybody to go read that for sure.
It at least makes you feel like, oh, that's what's going on. Okay, I get it. Like you, even though it's a dark picture of the world.
Totally, and I feel like too, like I think still, again, like I'm optimistic today. I'm feeling empowered today. I'm feeling real good about things. Maybe it's the sun. Maybe
cryptocurrency.
Maybe
Cryptocurrency going up.
There were some crypto wins today. All right. Anyway, but like at the same time, a lot of this is just fueled. Like the only reason why we're here and the agenda is still being able to be carried out to the extent that it is literally just because of censorship. Because of censorship and all these voices who are presenting, who have the science, who have the data, who have the facts, are being just completely obliterated and being marginalized and kicked off whatever airways that they once had, deplatformed,
locked out of their wiki,
villainized, locked out of their wiki, so you can't even like oh, Judy Mikovits, she's a quack and a criminal, like all that stuff, but without giving you a chance to explain yourself or back up your position, and that's literally it. And plus, at the same time, not only that, but all these, it's all coming out too that all these like influencers are like being paid to like push the vaccine narrative, right? And then like even like Jimmy Dore, very progressive guy, exposed how like the DNC was paying some of these like whenever I go to, like I think that Brooklyn Dad guy, I don't know if you guys ever seen him. Okay, so if you go to Twitter and there's this guy Brooklyn Dad, always popped up on my feed, right? Because like Twitter knows that he's saying stuff that would piss me off, right? So of course they're gonna push that to the top, right? And then like Jimmy Dore exposed that he was like getting all this money from the DNC, the Democrats, right? Like paying him to push all this stuff. So he's just chill. So all these people that are like pushing it, that are the influencers, are literally just getting paid to do it. You
got to get rid of that $4 billion.
Well,
right?
Plus they can't. Am I wrong? If it's not FDA approved, they can't advertise it, right? They can't put it like for sale, like on drug commercials. And so that's their ad campaign, is they're using celebrities and high profile people to show how cool it is and how trendy and how safe, quote unquote, definitely unquote. And I mean, that's what I think. That seems like the most plausible thing, because otherwise, you know how it is with commercials. It's every other. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't have TV, so I guess I don't know, but.
I mean,
Well, on YouTube now, there's ads all the time, and like every single one of them is like a group of nurses and parents, like stoically standing there and like wearing their mask, and they're like, "We need your help. You need to get the vaccine." And I'm always like, "Fuck you!" Like on the TV, like.
Yeah.
Same here. All the billboards, and we got billboards popping up in our town. It's just, it's like you wouldn't need this stuff. You really wouldn't legitimately need this stuff.
I mean, that's
if
all.
this were a real.
I mean, that's just not even real though, because how much of the medical industry is actually pushing back on this thing? Like tons of nurses and doctors. I mean, the vaccination rates amongst them is pretty low in a lot of parts of the country. So, they really it's all smoke and mirrors is what they're pulling right now, right?
Exactly.
But they did. I mean, Biden said what was it, $4 billion? I think it was that they were putting in the advertising campaign for this vaccine. Like they have to spend that money. Yeah. So obviously these influencers are getting their money, right?
Oh my God.
Well, and that's a thing that's really disappointing too, is that I think a lot of people don't realize how fake social media is. Like you're describing, there's all these paid shills that are literally there to say these certain things. Then there's also the who knows how many billions of bots that are programmed to just go comment and say these things. I don't know if you guys have ever interacted with them before, but you can tell because they don't actually respond ever to what you actually said, but they respond to you with these like pre-canned, just like, I got my vaccine and you should too, or else you're dumb or whatever. And you're like, I wasn't even, what? Like that didn't make sense. So there's all these bots, there's all these paid shills, there's this ad campaign, and even still we see I just drove by our mask vaccination site here in Colorado Springs where I'm at. Nobody was there.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I'm really excited about that. Like that's the coolest thing I've seen all day. So I think you're right, Scott, that we have like all of this evidence that there's actually a lot more going well than poorly, given how hard they're working to pull this off.
Yeah. You know what I really hope, and this is just, I don't know, dude. I really, really hope. Okay, so they're doing this audit down in Arizona right now. They're recounting the votes, right? Okay. It would just make my day if they just overturn the election and they put.
I'm gonna go walk with my clothes into the sea and just happily free swim.
Oh, that would be the most epic thing ever.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the?
Oh man.
I can't even imagine.
The media has been really quiet since Biden, since the will of the people was overrun. Ever since that happened, the media has been real quiet about what's going on with politics. But guaranteed, it would turn up the volume.
I don't even know if it would be. I mean, I agree, but at the same time, like, dude, it would just be like civil war at that point.
It would
be. People would lose their freaking minds. Like, I don't know.
It would be.
You never.
It's not like it's just a different.
Maybe everyone would be cool with it
beast, so.
because you don't ever hear anybody who voted for Biden talking about how happy they are and like all the great things he's doing. Still, like I'm still waiting. I haven't seen any social media posts at all. Like literally not at all.
I saw some initially.
Yeah.
Did you?
But but I don't really pay attention.
The disturbing ones were the people who are like, "Isn't it so cool that I have no idea what's going on right now?" And I'm like, dude, no, it's not cool.
Not cool. It's not cute at all.
Oh yeah.
It's just like we have this grandpa that's just driving the car and we just get to sleep in the back seat. Like that grandpa's gonna rape you.
Yes. All right.
Wow,
all right.
Starts with the hair sniff.
All right.
Sorry.
No,
that's
it's
great.
awesome.
That's the episode title right there, probably. No, I'm just kidding.
Grandpa's gonna rape you.
Oh my God.
Grandpa Biden's.
That'll be the one thing that gets us pulled off YouTube finally. It won't even.
Yeah.
We're close.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Are you getting strikes over there, Lindsay?
I am. I got 2 of my first strikes.
Yeah.
I mean, I had like copyright stuff before.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a little different.
I got these 2 strikes that were community violations, which are the ones you have to care about. And it was 2 within 1 or 2 days of each other. So I was like, oh, it's coming down this week. They're just gonna like, but then they stopped. I'm like, every single episode I've ever made, you could probably find something that you want to strike if you really want to. I don't think so, but if they're just assholes, so they do whatever they want. But then it just stopped. So I don't know if it was they just like are trying to like make me be different from now on, or like I don't know. I'm not.
They dinged us twice in that same way, kind of like that. So that maybe that is part of their backward. That's the agenda. Yeah, maybe to see if you'll change the content and take it easy.
Maybe the owner or the CEO of YouTube realized that she was being nominated for a free expression award, and then she stopped. She stopped dinging us. And there you go.
It's like, oh,
that interview.
So cool.
That interview, her
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that though?
Well, I saw
Yeah.
that the downvotes were like 46,000 and the upvotes were like 30
Oh,
or something like that. The ratio is amazing. And I was like, how
Yeah.
did they not turn this off?
yeah.
How did they let us actually vote? Like,
Yeah.
so that's one more piece of that tells you, you know, there's at least some people who are aware.
100%.
6,000 of them.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think the hope is I think our truther community has grown tenfold
Yeah.
since they pulled this thing off, right?
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt we're
true.
exponential growth going on right now
Yeah.
for sure. People are waking up.
Yeah.
It's maybe not the one next door that you want to, but like
Yeah.
around the world. I mean, we're connecting with people we would have never known
That's true.
before in our lives. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, and there's
true.
we've got a really big, good, connected group.
Yep.
Really.
Have you seen a massive awakening in terms of your listeners and your followers? Like just maybe, I don't know, like just the community kind of growing around you?
Yeah, I mean, but I have had the luck of having an amazing
Yeah,
community that
absolutely.
keeps growing from the start
Totally.
even before this happened.
Nice.
So I don't know if people were already sort of starting to, and that is part of that, and this just kind of like kickstarted it, because I've definitely seen more growth since then,
Yeah.
you know, COVID and
Yeah.
this whole bullshit happened. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me because I'm like, well, of course the people who are aware would find my show.
Totally.
Right? Like, but that doesn't necessarily mean they just woke up, right? And I'm not
Totally.
sure. So
Totally.
I don't know how to gauge it really. But things like that video and the upvotes versus downvotes, and things like seeing the empty vaccination site and
Yeah.
seeing how hard they're having to work to push all of this, like those all give me hope. And everybody sort of says it. So I just kind of think it's probably true that there's a lot of people waking up.
Yeah.
But I worry because then we have things like the, you know, the Q phenomenon, which there's a lot in Q, just like anything effective. There's a lot of truth in it. And there was a lot of like actual nuggets where people were able to look at that and say, whoa, yeah, this is real. Oh my God, you know, and then there's all of this like subterfuge and misdirection too. And that's the part that's harder for people to see, especially when it satisfies their need to believe that something good is happening and someone's out there to save us and help us. And we're not alone. And things like that. They're just really good at co-opting genuine movements of every variety.
Absolutely.
And of taking down, you know, the most effective, you know, vectors of truth and genuine movements. So the combo of that is like always a little bit distressing for me. But it is really cool too that we have all these things like Rumble and Rokfin and like stuff I don't even know about, I'm sure, and like Telegram and all these things that people also are finding and creating so that we can sidestep all of this really heavy-handed censorship and oppression. And I think we've seen the mainstream media lose, not just because Donald Trump is gone, but that helps. But even before then, we saw people were just steadily leaving. They're just like realizing this is bullshit programming.
Garbage,
Like I can go watch someone actually tell me the truth much more effectively on YouTube on like 700 billion different channels. So I'll just go do that instead. And that's hopeful too, that people are leaving that sort of behind. And then finally the Oscars as well, like things like that. Like, keep dying. And I'm like,
Super encouraging, those numbers.
Right.
Just go ahead and keep on dying, man.
And
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say they keep pushing this bullshit agenda of theirs in everything they make, and people are just like, I don't want to watch your shit. It's shit. I want to watch actual stories.
Yeah.
I don't care who's white and who's black in my story. I care what the story is.
Yep. Absolutely.
You're the racist one, not me.
Right.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Oh boy.
100%.
So I did have a question. I have a question that I had coming into this is that have any of your former students like come and be like, oh wait a minute, that was my old high school teacher.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. I've had a few of them. It's funny. I think they think that they're like catching me, you know, and that I'm going to be like, oh no, they caught me, like, which is always funny for me. They like pop in the chat, you know, and they're like, hi, Miss Brown. And I'm like, hi, Clayton, or whatever, you know, like live on air. And I think they're like, oh, I thought, because my real name is Lindsey Brown.
Okay.
My middle name is Scharmyn. And I will go by, so I think people think that I'm trying to hide my true identity, but I'm like, no, this is just how things transpired. I am Lindsey Brown, and I don't want my students to find me on social media while I'm teaching. So I'm Lindsey Sharmyn on social media. So when I started the show, everyone knew me as Lindsey Sharmyn because I started the show basically on Facebook in a group, you know, I had a group of friends. And so that was my audience. And so they knew me as Lindsey Sharmyn. And so I didn't change my name ever because I didn't want it to be hella confusing. Right. And so everyone's like, oh, that's your real name. All my students are like, oh, Ms. Brown. And I'm like, you're not being sneaky. Like, I'm not trying to hide it. So it's really cute.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, you got me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool. So
I should just let them feel like they did and just be
There
like,
you go.
oh, no.
There you
And
go.
they'll feel happy.
That's hilarious. So how are things out in Colorado? That's a blue state, isn't it? Would you say?
I guess so.
Kinda?
I mean, Denver's blue
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And who knows how real that is, right?
Sure.
Like everything else,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like, is
of
that
course.
bots and just perception and whatever too, or is it real? I don't know. But the rest of the state is definitely pretty red.
Yeah.
Outside of like Denver and Boulder. And I've only been here a few years, so I'm
Okay.
not like the expert, but it's just pretty obvious to me that everywhere else is like pretty normal.
Wow. Okay.
As far as those things go. And so I've never worn a mask. I've been going to stores the whole time.
Okay.
I've had stores that have told me I had to leave, or
Sure.
I've had certain things here and there, but for the most part, I'm able to find places to shop and places to get gas and places to go get coffee or do whatever I want. And so that's been really cool. I went down to New Mexico and that was like mask hell.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty bad. I heard
it's
New
really
Mexico's pretty
bad.
bad. Yeah. Crazy.
And Arizona was okay. So like everywhere is just so different.
Yeah, exactly.
Cultures are so
You don't-
different.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about Colorado. Like Oregon's just man,
Pretty bad.
dude, it's rough. Like I guess Kate Brown, our governor, she's locking us down again on Friday. Another
Why?
lockdown Friday because
Extreme
COVID's
risk. We're extreme risk now.
Ugh.
So extreme.
Well, people were starting to enjoy this. We're getting an early spring here. So it's been like 80s, 70s, and we're always under gray clouds this time of the year. So I think she was just like, I see the constituents being happy, so that's not going to happen.
Yep.
I just think she's totally a wicked woman. I think she's the true definition of a psychopath. I think she enjoys every bit of this. And we had another guest ask us like, well, do you think she maybe thinks that she's doing a good thing? Like maybe she thinks she's doing the greater good. I don't think that for any tiny. I think she knows exactly that this is all garbage. I think that she knows what she's doing is wrong and serves no purpose other than helping her thrust forward in this wicked agenda to advance her career.
That's the thing. I think all these politicians, all they give a shit about is advancing their career.
Yep.
They probably don't even give two shits about this thing. Really, they're going to do what pushes them forward. And like I don't think they're necessarily like fuck all you guys. They're like, I'm going to do what works in my county or whatever state that's going to help me move up. That's what it comes down to. Right. And like, this is the image I need to have to, in Oregon that is fucking, blue as hell, for lack of a better way of describing it. Like, they have us down to categories. We have low, moderate, high, and extreme risk, based on all these bullshit numbers that no one even really fucking knows.
Yep.
Like, oh no, we're going to maybe hit extreme risk next week.
Yeah.
And then she'll come and make her little statement. It's the world we've been living in for a year,
But to drive around town, it would seem as if a huge amount of the Eugene population, at least, so I can't speak to other counties, but or other cities, but we've got everyone driving around with their timestamps on their windows. That, everyone's showing their virtue that they've been vaccinated. And that's the other thing just about her being wicked, because I think she's fully aware of what she's doing. She knows people are killing themselves. She knows that psychological damage is being done to children. She knows that, education's falling through the floor. Not that it was great to begin with. Let's not kid ourselves, but just the idea of a normal psychological development for children completely being cut off, people falling back into drug addiction. Many, drug and alcohol programs having been closed for a huge part of all of the lockdowns, where people couldn't even get with their people, couldn't even meet. I mean, she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. And so I don't know, that it's disheartening for sure. I am ready and been looking at for a while. I know we all talk about it all the time, but we're ready to get out of this state. I think at least I'm for sure ready to go. And I was really thinking Texas, but I have a friend in Florida. Florida's looking damn
Cheney,
good.
our friend
Yeah.
Cheney.
Cheney, yes, Project Cheney. So we
Cheney.
love Cheney.
Yeah,
So she's been talking Florida up and just telling me about her experiences and how it is by county and how the mayors deal with things. And I was saying, my kids aren't thriving, whatever. And she goes, we thrive here. She's like, sending me pictures of sunsets and talking about just how it is, like even at her work. She's, it's normal. It's like, to me, it sounds like just
insanity.
going, what's that?
It's like there's sanity there.
Sanity, yeah. And, and I've seen a lot of other, people talking about just like, some people like, in the gyms, like they want to have a mask on. Nobody says anything. They can put them on, but you don't have to put them on. Like, and that's the way it's supposed to be, right? Like if you want to choose to be afraid and you still feel but confident enough to leave your house with all your fear and your mask on and go to the gym, then I guess go. But like to say, I don't know. It just, some sort of logic, and who knows how long it will last, but it looked like there was some beautiful land out there, and I don't know, warm and near the ocean, and it calls. It seems like, I don't know.
Humidity, alligators, and hurricanes.
I just want to be clear.
What was the first one? What was the
Humidity.
first one? Oh, humidity. Okay.
If you come to our gym with a mask on, I'm going to give you tons of shit.
Yeah, right.
That's
right.
sure.
We do. We have a great
That's
gym
awesome.
that we were able to,
There's little
connect with.
pockets of freedom.
Little pockets of freedom here in town.
Yeah. And it's like, well,
It is beautiful.
yeah, what part of freedom don't you understand, people? Come
Right.
on.
Well, I saw this really cool example today of what can happen when people just decide to be sane again and work together. And it was in Vail, Arizona, I believe. And it was a school district where they had their 4th student suicide. And yeah, it's really emotional even for me to just say that, because I know as a teacher, just losing students in any way is so difficult and emotional. And it's a community-wide loss, like the family is obviously the worst impacted, but the whole community is aware when a child commits suicide or dies in it some other way. And so the whole community has been suffering. This is the 4th one this year. It's obviously, it is something like 400% higher overall, nationwide or something. But so they finally said, like, screw this, like, fuck these people. They went to the school board and they were like, hey, we're not doing this anymore. You're killing our kid. Literally, you're murdering our kids with these forced, the talk of forced vaccinations and this mask wearing all the time and this social isolation and all of this stuff. We're not doing this anymore. You're going to take away the mask mandates. You're going to take away any threat of forcing mandatory vaccinations, and you're going to open everything back up again school wise, in school, so the kids can just be kids. They're not at risk anyway. All of this, the whole community was there. All these people were there, and the school board said, oh, we're not going to talk to you, and they closed. And so the people were like, all right, fuck them. We're electing a new school board amongst ourselves. We're going to, do all the proper, they had a quorum and they met the right numbers and they did all the procedure that you have to do. They elected a new school board and then they voted and they changed it, and now it's changed.
Wow.
Where is this at?
In Vail, Arizona.
That's
Oh,
so
wow.
awesome. I love that.
Okay.
So
I just
yeah,
love that
but
so
that's
much.
the power. Like any of us can do that. We can go do that at City Hall. We can do that in our school board. We can do that anywhere we want, in any way we want. If you just have people. There's another friend I have who lives actually in Oregon, and I won't say the town name just in case, I don't know. But it's a small town in Oregon, and they have all realized that enough of them, the majority of them, are not down with this, and that perhaps things are actually much worse than we think, right? And that perhaps someday troops perhaps from the UN might show up.
Yes, absolutely.
And so they have a plan. They have, they know who has, which resources and which weaponry. They have perimeters. They know who's going to go where on the perimeter, and they have their town protected. And I'm like, this is also, it's anarchy at its best, where you don't have rulers, but you have leaders, and you have, as a community, enough strength to do whatever you need to do for yourselves that's best for you. So I love those examples of what we can do, despite it feels overwhelming. You're like this federal government and this worldwide plan and this years and thousands of years, maybe even in the making. And what could I possibly do? And it's like, well, that is what you can do, is you can continuously be true to yourself. And if you're true to yourself with enough people and enough of them are also able to be sane, then you can pull off anything. You can do anything.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of where, we've gotten involved with Freedom Cells here, and so we started our own Freedom Cell, and we meet every couple weeks, and we're we're learning homesteading skills and gardening and just all kinds of stuff, and just kind of building our own better. Is what I say.
Gleaning.
Yeah, gleaning.
That is the way to do it.
Yeah. Are you involved with Freedom Cells? Have you checked out Freedom Cells in your area at all?
I think I'm technically in one, but I'm really bad because of all the, as we talked about, billions of things I do all the time. So I kind of suck, but I am good at least knowing my neighbors and having good relationships with them, and growing my own food and having chickens. And I know where my water source is, even though I don't have a well myself, and I know how to clean my water, and I have my protection. I have my weapons and my guns. And so I have made progress there, but I'm still not as good as I'd like to be on the organizational front.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Freedom Cells has been a real lifesaver for us too. We talk about it all the time. In addition to the podcast, just finding our community this way, just realizing that we're not alone with it. but also just like, just locally, and it's so inspiring to see people come to their first Freedom Cells meeting and be in a room with people without masks for the first time and who knows how long, it's just it's a really awesome thing. So yeah, wow. Yeah.
So it does a lot to keep hope alive, when you know that there's other people who are maybe you don't agree on every single thing, but you're like, well, I can at least rely on you to be rational. Understand and to discuss things and which is rare. So that's really beautiful.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, shoot, Lindsey. Well, what conspiracies are you looking at these days? You read any books or anything grab your attention other than the big ones? Anything else?
I guess I'm most into I'm always the most into the AI and the robotics and robocalypse thing. That's always my like sort of bread and butter. And but I really and I don't know if it's like a conspiracy per se specifically, but I really more and more realize that it's a spiritual war that's going on, and that 100%. It's really happening on that level, and that's the most important level. And so going back to what we were just saying, that ability to just look out and see there's other people who are also still free, even just in their mind and their heart, is enough to like keep that spiritual spark alive, and we really need that. I mean, this is why kids are killing themselves, is because deep inside they have given up hope.
Yes.
There's no one out here who's going to help me, no one's standing up for me. Whereas if we do that like Bale did and kids see that, like, oh my God, the whole community came together to protect us. Then that's going to ripple out in like ways we can't even measure. Right. And that's a spiritual energy that is now moving through the entire world, hopefully hears of their success and follows suit. So it's really, I think it's a spiritual thing. These people who are sort of at the top and diabolically planning and plotting and pulling all this off, it's a spiritual thing for them. They know it, so it's time, I think, that like we knew it. And so that's really my my focus, I guess, is just helping people reconnect to their spiritual truth. And I don't care like what brand it is, you can like stamp it any way you want it, as long as you remember that you are a soul here on earth, and that's all that really matters about you, and everything else is just sort of like temporary and ancillary and like not as important as that truth. And I think that's the type of thing that like, if enough people remember that and really feel it and connect to it, that like you can't then drag someone away on a train cart to the camp, like you can't watch that happen to someone if you remember that you're a soul, because your soul won't put up with that shit.
Right.
Like,
yes,
absolutely. Like, you gotta do something. Like, and you're like, oh shit, okay, I have to do something. Like, I just watched this video and I posted it in the the Unwanted chat. So I don't know if you guys saw it before it got pulled down, but
no.
If it's real, it shows people being abducted in India and forcefully vaccinated. And that was my main response to that, was aside from like, oh, how horrible would it be to be abducted and forced into a medical procedure? But my main response was, why did all those people just watch it happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Why didn't anyone stop it? Because I would fight tooth and nail even for a stranger to not have that happen. And that, again, I think goes back to the fact that I know that I'm a soul, and that you can harm my body, but I'm not going to do anything that, harms my soul.
Absolutely.
And so that's it's not really a conspiracy. It's just, that's my focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
That's great. I was just talking to an ally. I did it earlier today. Someone that's on our level, and like we were just talking about like, dude, what if we just like someone just needs to like dose Bill Gates, like just put like a whole vial like acid in his thing, and then he'd just like be like, what am I doing? Oh my God, or something like that, right?
Or like Ball would come out and be like, oh, you're bald.
Yeah, that's what I think. I know.
It's like too far gone, maybe.
Too far gone, maybe. Shoot, Lindsey. Well, shoot. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please tell the folks how they can find more, because you have so much out there.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really awesome to meet you guys, and I'm excited for the Rogue community to meet you guys too when this airs on Sunday, and so that's really exciting for me. And if people want to go to rogueways.org, then that is the place you can find the links to the show. I'm on Rokfin.com/rogueways, and I have my show there called Middle Path, and I'm putting a lot more of Rogue Ways on there too because of YouTube's suppression, and I don't want them to be able to delete my channel, so I'm hiding some of my content over on Rokfin and just going live on YouTube sometimes when it's like a little bit safer, or I don't know. I don't really want to kowtow to them and bend over, but I also would like to keep that access I have to those people who are only there, I think. So anyways, Rokfin.com/rogueways is where my new show Middle Path is, and it does focus a lot more on the spiritual. I try to bring it into the more practical, what you can actually do to get deeper in touch with your soul and your emotional, and mental and all of your bodies really. And because I think people get scared away from that type of stuff because of all of the like degradation of all religions, and also like the New Age movement, like all of it has just so much bullshit that I think people get really turned off from even exploring any of that. So I try to just be really real and bring it down to the practical. And so it's a lot more spiritually oriented, even though all my shows touch on the spiritual eventually. So there's that. And then I do have my books. I write nonfiction and fiction, but fiction recently, I have a series called Sine Curve of Aeons that looks at humanity's path through the dark ages and the golden ages, and sort of what it is about us that keeps us cycling through those instead of breaking free. And it's very like esoteric, mystical, and also alternative history, and also modern day AI, robotic, demonic darkness. So there's all kinds of stuff going on in those books. They're really fun.
Okay.
I sell them, and if people like fiction and they want them and don't want to support Amazon, you can buy them from my site directly, and I give you a little nice note in there too and inscribe it and sign it for you. And I sell and make jewelry, which is spiritually, energetically enhanced and blessed and powerful. And so I have orgone jewelry that I make, and I also have crystal and stone jewelry that I make. And finally, I do tarot readings, and I do spiritual support work with people. So especially if people feel like they're going through dark or challenging spiritual issues, then I do some work with that, and I just sort of have people's back, and I can do ceremonies for various purposes too. So there's just a lot there. So if you want to find all of it, it's at rogueways.org.
There you go.
Oh, amazing.
Wow. Lindsey, thank you so much. That's so great.
Yes.
All right, guys. So go check out rogueways.org and go support Lindsey, please. So we will look forward to the next time, and we'll definitely
say where they can find us as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yes, that's going out. Okay. So we're the Truthzilla Podcast. We're on all the podcast platforms. We're on YouTube for now, but we're also on Rokfin. So I was gonna say, Lindsey, we're gonna have to do like a Rokfin exclusive, one of these days, like a Swapcast type deal. Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Watch
So
for that.
Rokfin.com/Truthzilla, Telegram, the at Truthzilla Pod. We've got it's better than like all the other. We're on like Instagram. We're on we're still on Facebook maybe.
Yeah.
These guys moderate the Facebook page. I quit Facebook a long time ago.
Telegram is better.
Yeah, Telegram. Yep, at Truthzilla Pod. And then we just started a Discord, so come find us on the Discord, Truthzilla Podcast, which is great. It's fun.
Learn
Little place
all
to
about
meet.
your shitcoin.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
We got
That's where I
our
learned about all
crypto
these-
feed in there.
Yeah. And then we got a t-shirt shop, truthzilla.org/shirts. We got some shirts that are very controversial, so go get yourself
Oh,
one.
and you also check out our little mini documentary we made.
Oh, yeah.
10 stages
yes.
of genocide.
10 stages of genocide.
Ooh.
Yes. So that's on our video
did I
platforms.
miss that?
So it was from like January, I think we put it out.
Yeah.
It's just arguing how what we're seeing is, leading up to we were on like stage 8 out of 10. Yeah. And stage 9 is the actual genocide. And the 10th is the cover up. Yeah. And so like 7, right between like 7 and 8 is about where we're at.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
arguably
I'm gonna link to that and all the things you mentioned in the show notes of mine, so people can click over, because that
Us
sounds
too.
pretty crucial.
Sweet.
Awesome.
All right, Lindsey. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Awesome.
you
Thank
so
you, guys.
much.
See ya.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
She's so, dude, I always say people are like on the level, dude. Like, she's probably a few steps further than me on the level, to
Yeah.
be quite honest,
Yeah.
right? She's been doing this longer, but it's just a ton of great information, and just, dude, I love people that see how spiritual this thing is, and see the hope within that, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Because it's you can get so pulled down in the darkness with this shit, right?
I do sometimes.
I do too.
That's
I
where
think,
they want us to be.
I
That's where they want us to be.
I think it's part of what we're fighting against,
Yeah.
right? Like we have to kind of help bring each other out of it, really.
Yep.
Right,
That's kind of what we're called to do right now.
Absolutely.
So it's really nice to see when people see that and talk about the good that's happening as well as the bullshit, because they're not all psychopaths out there.
Right.
There's just a few assholes that
Yep.
that make all this bad shit happen, right?
Or give us
Right.
the perception that they're in control, because that's what it is.
Totally.
They control
It's
all
smoke and
the-
mirrors.
Yeah, but it's all smoke and mirrors, dude.
It really is.
It literally is. And so it's like, if it is that whole scenario where it's like our reality is back engineered and forced and contrived, then that literally is it almost is like we're in a simulation. Like we really, really are in like a simulation being run by these technocratic, oligarchic, just freaking demons, dude. Like we're in a matrix. We're in a matrix.
Yeah.
And but we can disconnect. We can disconnect, dude. This is how we disconnect.
Well, it's like it really the whole spiritual warfare thing, and it comes down to the whole free will thing. It's the people who are going along, which essentially them giving up their free will.
Yeah.
Really, because I can't imagine. I mean, except for people who are totally have the window closed to their souls, I cannot imagine people actually with an open mind being presented with all the information about everything that we all know outside of COVID, everything we know.
In Scott's kitchen for 2 hours.
Right. Well, yeah, for sure. Oh, that's for sure. Dude. And by the way, congrats on that. Did that feel like a total victory run?
Great.
Oh my God. Where her eyes just like saucers and she was just holy.
I think when we got to the point where we connected, I rocked her all the way through the Holocaust and the IBM and all that thing.
You didn't start with children being satanically
No, we haven't
sacrificed.
There yet.
Okay.
She's ready for that.
Okay.
I wasn't ready for that yet. But anyway, we got to the point where I said, and then it was John Oppel, who was Thomas Watson, the guy who received the Medal of Honor from Adolf Hitler. John Oppel, the protege, is the one that gave Mary Gates the startup money for her son Bill Gates to start Microsoft. She's like, "Oh my God, I just got chilled." I was like, "Yeah, victory!"
So awesome, dude.
John Oppel, Mary Gates, they were banging.
Oh, for sure.
They were for sure. Look at that William Gates Sr. He looks like he's like a freaking ogre, dude. She was just after his money, but she was going after that IBM dick, dude. I'm telling you. that's Mary Gates for you. She's a fucking saucy little hoe, dude. She's fucking.
You're not wrong, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit because she's a little baby murderer. She's a little happy little they're eugenicists. How can you feel sorry?
Nope.
You're like, I fucking don't. That's why I said she was a little dirty
nasty little hoe,
IBM hoe.
She's fucking all about that IBM dick, dude.
Oh my God.
That fucking Nazi dick, dude.
Yeah, those dirty.
Sorry. That's
We're talking about hope and spirituality here, Scott.
Okay,
remember?
Okay.
Oh yeah, we really spiraled down. We really took a left turn.
Yeah, what the hell?
All right, back we go. Everybody, thank you so much for sitting in with us. That was an amazing talk with Lindsey. Please go and find her, support her. Thank you for sitting in with us. Thank you for all of your love and support. We love all of you. And until next time, we wish all of you intellectual prosperity. Good night. I like that one. Ding. I was laughing through it. I'm sorry.